Hello, this is High Templar. Welcome to my Total War Warhammer 2 speculation video. And today I wanted to talk about the only part of the Warhammer 2 I haven't covered in my previous videos when we didn't know the Warhammer 2 will be coming. And this is Southlands. So I covered Lustria, Nagrod, Ulthan, all those places. But I have not covered Southlands because I didn't think there will be in Warhammer 2. And you must understand that I was surprised because Southlands are pretty far away from Nagrod. You would have to make a very big map to encompass all of it. That map would have to be a lot bigger than Old World, a lot bigger. And this is kinda interesting, but let's just get to the meat of the video. So yes, we know that we will have Southlands in Warhammer 2. What can we expect from the Southlands? Well, it seems that quite a lot. But that also depends on the creative assembly a lot. So, firstly, as you can see, this is the world map. This is Lustria, Nagrod, and this is Southlands. All of this is Southlands. Basically, the equivalent of Africa. And we already have Badlands all the way up to here in the Warhammer universe, in the Total War Warhammer 1. So this is where the orcs lives. Now everything south from that is will be something new, and it's kinda hard to pinpoint exactly how much of it we will get. I don't think we will get the western coast of the Nagrod or the western coast of Lustria, so I don't think we will get an eastern coast of the Southlands. We might get everything up to the Walled Edge Mountains, or even less, and I think that will be less, because Walled Edge Mountains would encompass Land of the Dead, and I will talk about that in a moment. So, but you can see clearly in the northern part of the Southlands we have Land of the Dead and Araby, which are pretty big when it comes to the lore and everything else in this in the Warhammer universe. Then in the south part, so the northern part is mostly desert, and the southern part is mostly tropical forest. And this tropical forest is not unlike the one in Lustria. It would seem that before the Sundering, before the Great Cataclysm, the Lustria and Southlands were connected. So we would see the same flora and fauna in both of those places, and also we would see lizardmen in those places. And as you can see, there are some lizardmen cities, although we are pretty sure that the only surviving city of the lizardmen right now would be Zlatland. But these are all jungles, and there are few interesting places here. There is lots of we don't know about Southlands, because this is something that's not covered in many sources, you can say. We know that there is an Elven fortress in the very south of the Southlands, and there is a Fortress of the Dawn also for the High Elves that is on an island that is south to the Southlands. We know that this area is populated mostly by the Lizardmen. We know that north of the Lizardmen there is sorry about that. There is a lot of Skaven, but you can also read here that there is a Sarenburg, for example, which is Imperial Enclave. I would not expect for the Imperial Enclave to be actually in a game, but we will have to see. There is also Karak-Zorn somewhere here, as you can read here, which might point out to the existence of dwarves in the Southlands. And this is somewhat controversial, because we aren't sure that we will. This is kind of a lost city of the dwarves. There was no contact with the city of the dwarves of Karakzorn. They might introduce these the same way as they introduced Northern Karax in the Warhammer 1, in the Old World edition. We'll have to wait and see. But you can see there is a lot and lots of things in the Southlands. So mostly there will be races that also lived in the New World, and this is the part of why they chosen this place. And this is why also chosen this place because of the clan Pestilence for the Skaven. But the Lizardmen are there, obviously the High Elves are here, and the Skaven are here, and the Skaven might go all the way to the Lustria. They aren't there now, but possibly they could go back, and that wouldn't be, you know, outside of the lore. Also, technically those Badlands are also part of the Southlands, at least the southern parts. You know, it's like I said, it's equivalent of Africa. The Badlands are technically the equivalent of the Middle East, but some of this will be also present in the Southlands, and I just, you know, it's a cool graphics, so it's here. Now, there is also lots of things like Beastmen, because Beastmen are everywhere. I mean, not as present as in the New World, but they are very much present in the Southlands, and which you can probably guess, because one of the Beastmen lords starts in the Badlands quite close to the Southlands. Beastmen in the Southlands are slightly different than the other northern cousins, but they are there. Would be cool to see some variations. I'm not sure if you will see that, maybe a DLC or something. This part of the Southlands provides a lot of opportunities for the DLCs. There is also pygmies. So pygmies are like, you know, basically small people that eats other people. I mean, they will pretty much eat everything, and there is actually an army book for them. There is Savage Orcs. So the pygmies would be a possibility for the DLC or for the faction, although I doubt we will get them, maybe in some DLC similar to the Wood Elves. It's a possibility. There is an army book for them, but then again there is an army book for Kislev, and they are not. This is actually, Kislev is a large part of the Midland. The Kislev are the large part of the Old World, and like missing some Ulrich priests and stuff is something that I cannot really accept in the Total War Warhammer. It's clearly missing one of the most vital parts of the game, but okay. So the pygmies are obviously less important than either the Nordland or the Midland armies or the Kislevan armies, so we might not get them, but there is a possibility here. There is Savage Orcs. We all know there is Savage Orcs. There's Savage Orcs everywhere. Those guys weren't really introduced to the metal, and we already have Savage Orcs, so there is not much to see. As for the Lizardmen in the Southlands are slightly different. I'm not sure if there will be a difference in the Warhammer game, in the Total War Warhammer 2 game, but those guys have less Saurus warriors. They have slightly different mounts, the horn ones, which are very rare in Lustria and they are quite prevalent in the Southlands, which you can see here. And the Saurus warriors are actually rare in the Southlands. They spawn not very often. So the skinks are trained by the Saurus to be main force for the Lizardmen in Lustria. in Southlands, obviously. So we might see them more, but there are also other lizardmen, obviously. And there is Skaven, mostly clan Pestilence, but there are also other clans present here. But once clan Pestilence was kicked out of Lustria, they came to Southlands, and they started something that is sometimes called the First Skaven Civil War, which probably is not correct term because those guys fight like all the time, but never mind that. So they do have significant presence in Southlands. They are power to be reckoned with. They are certainly the most powerful clan there. It would be interesting to see if there will be DLCs with more Skaven, and I'm pretty sure they will be DLCs in more Skaven because that, with more clans, because that is providing some very interesting opportunity to diverse the Skaven army, and people love Skaven. We might also get Southland Lizardmen in the DLC. Then there is a Land of the Death, and Land of the Death is, like I've mentioned, in the... It's not really the eastern part of the Southlands, it's kind of right smack in the middle of the northern part, because it's due west from the World Edge Mountains. And Land of the Dead Nehakara is, those Land of the Mummies and animated statues and all that, which is pretty cool, the Tomb King's army. And I don't think we will get it in Warhammer 2. There is certainly possibility of the DLC that will add them, like we've seen with the Wood Elves. But I really think we will not get that far into the west. We will get into the east. We will get that in Warhammer 3. That only makes sense. So, but I'm mentioning them because there is a possibility. There is also Araby. Araby is pretty interesting. As you can see there, they do have a book, and they are obviously based on the Berber and Arab and all those nations that invaded Europe after the rise of Islam, and this is very interesting book. This is a very interesting army book for the Warhammer. Not really. It's quite obscure army, but quite nice. But again, this army is a lot less important, in my opinion, than, say, Midland Army or Kislevan Army. And those armies were not, they weren't given justice. So we might get an Araby as a simple human nation like Empire. The same way in Kislev. That would be... I would really don't like it, but there is a possibility we will get just that. The same as, as we got Tila and Estadians. They pretty much got the standard Imperial units. So all those armies, there is lots of possibility of the DLCs that I would buy if they would be cheap and they would be, make some changing the coloring and adding some, like, few units, making the Estarian or Tilan knights, not Empire knights, but just slightly different stats. Like we've seen a lot of factions in Rome 2, they wouldn't be... You wouldn't play them, so you would still have playable factions that are very different from one to each other, but you will still have a bit more flavor. But I'm digressing, so the Araby would be pretty much the same. It would be nice to have Araby as an actual Araby. because yeah, this is quite an interesting foe to fight. So, and that's pretty much it. That is pretty much it. So, summing up in the Southlands, we have in the very south we have High Elves, then we have Lizardmen with their lonely surviving city, and then we have Skaven, and this will be the large parts. We have Kingdom of Negkara, the Land of the Death, and Araby as power players there, and we also have some smaller fries like pygmies, for example. There are some imperial outposts like you've seen, and some ruins and what's not really, and possibly even dwarves in Karak-Zor. So it is quite interesting land, and if you want me to cover any of those really, focus on any armies like pygmies or Araby, or do more concentrated video on Lizardmania Southlands or the Araby, please leave me a comment and I will try to do that. So this is it, hope you like it. If you did, press like, comment if you will, and see my other videos. In Total War Warhammer I'm doing DLC analysis and speculation videos, mod reviews and mechanics videos, but I also do let's plays in Total War series and other games. Thank you for watching, and see you later.